Yeah. Hello my brothers and sisters, my name is Daidarius and welcome to the review of Justice League. So Justice League is DCEU's Avengers, if you can say that. It is all of the DCEU's heroes collected in one big group outing to defeat a evil opposing threat, and even some people we haven't actually seen yet on the big screen. So Justice League started out with that Batman has somehow found out that there is these demon crawlers, I believe they're called, and they feed on fear and they're attracted to fear. So make a bad guy feel fear, and then this demon crawler goes towards attacking him, and then Batman tries to take this demon down and find out where it comes from and what does it mean that it is here. He quickly found out that he is over his head and he needs to bring the team together. You know, that team he saw in these small MP4 files in Batman v Superman. You know, the thing that make a big effort to show you? No? Well, it was that. So, while that's going on, we get to Themyscira, where the Amazons doesn't look good. Yeah, I had to break it to you, but, you know, in the Wonder Woman movie, at least the Amazons looked like Amazons. The armor was of leather and was practical and wasn't to show how sexy and well-formed the women were, but it was to aid them in combat. Well, here it looks like there's less armor and it's more shiny to really hammer home that these women does look great. But why try to sexualize the women through this clothing instead of showing how fucking awesome they are in battle? That is kinda hot. A woman who can take care of herself, that's hot. But here we find out there is a thing called a mother box. It's the cube that you saw in Batman v Superman Cyborg file, where it attached itself to Cyborg. That's the mother box. And they have one on Themyscira, and this dude called Steppenwolf comes down through a, I believe it's called a booming tube in DC. I'm not that into DC, but I believe it's called a booming tube. Anywho, he comes down, he wants to take the mother box, and then you see an epic, awesome scene where the Amazons try their absolute best to make sure that he doesn't get it. And it is in this scene that we kind of get a feel of who Steppenwolf is. And let me tell you, I don't know. You see, the thing is that Steppenwolf, he's just a bland character. He's actually a CGI character, and he's not done that well. And don't get me wrong, it's not that the CGI is bad per se. I mean, his animation is really fluid, but his armor and his face just doesn't look right, and it even seems like he doesn't have that much of a muscle mass in his face. He can't make that many facial expressions, so... And also his motivation isn't that clear. Yeah, they say that he needs to collect these mother boxes for something, but the only other motivation you get is that in a flashback you see that he has always done this and he has never failed, and then one time he failed here on Earth and now he wants to come back and do it again and this time succeed. But that's not a really great motivation, so he's kind of just there and doing nothing. Diana then finds out that Themyscira has been attacked, so she finds Bruce, and then they have to collect the Justice League. You need to fight Aquaman, they need to find Cyborg, and they need to find the Flash. And this is where our movie takes off. So let me get this out of the way at first, the good things. Well, the humor there is in this movie for some part works, and especially Flash is the comic relief in this movie, and I don't mind that. He is quick on his toes and it does lighten the movie up a bit. Also, there are some of the action scenes, some of the action scene that's quite well done, especially one on Themyscira where they're trying to get the mother box away from Steppenwolf. That is entertaining and fun action that you just can watch all day, because you see all these women come together and have one goal, one purpose, and they just fling this mother box back and forth to make sure that Steppenwolf doesn't get it, and it's... I won't say any more of that. It is joyful to watch. Also, I like the fact that they kept the plot simple. I don't need the Justice League to be this epic, complicated movie. I want it to be fun watching, but I also want it to be worthy of collecting all these heroes together, like Avengers was. Now, I'm not going to compare this to Avengers, because these are two very different movies with very different purposes. But in Avengers, it made sense why we needed the Avengers, and we have already established all the heroes. We kind of knew from the get-go that these folks will not interact well, you know. They will have imposing ideas and ideologies, and they are used to working alone. And also the fact that it made sense for them to come together, not to fight the threat with against the Cherry Army. No, they needed everyone to find the Tesseract. That makes sense. So I want the same thing here. It needs to make sense. And I don't need their individual quirk or skills to find something or do something, but it needs to make sense that they have to come together and work together. And for some extent it does, but on the other hand, it does fall flat. I'm going to get to that in a second. But firstly, the humor is a double-edged sword. Yes, it does make some scenes more light and fun to watch, but it's also at some times seemed extremely forced. There are a lot of the jokes which some characters will utter that doesn't mix well with the tone of the scene, and it also takes you out of this dire situation that sometimes are. It kind of seems like that, I don't know if it was Zack Snyder or it was Joss Whedon, but it kind of seems like that they desperately tried to make this movie funnier because they have heard, especially from Wonder Woman, but also the critics, that we saw the movies to be too serious and grim. But that does take away the grim tones, and it takes away the seriousness. It is the same problem I had with Thor Ragnarok, but in Thor Ragnarok the jokes often worked very well, and here it only sometimes does. But when they do, it is great, but when it doesn't, it is shite. The next thing is that it doesn't really state what the different heroes' powers are. I mean, we know that Diana's powers from Wonder Woman and Batman v Superman, that she can deflect bullets with her bracelets, she is good with the sword and the shield, she is pretty strong and can jump pretty far, and apparently she is extremely fast. Has she been that before? I can't remember. But yeah, her powers are well established. Then you have Batman's. Well, it's Batman. We have seen that he can fight very well, and he is intelligent, and he has a lot of gadgets. That was also established in Batman v Superman. No problem there. Then you have Aquaman. Well, he can breathe underwater, and he is extremely fast underwater, and that's it. That's what you know. You get the feeling that he is quite strong, but you have no idea how strong. Is he stronger than Diana? Is he stronger than Superman? Is he stronger than a strongman? I don't know. So you don't know what his powers is. And also there's the Flash. The Flash is quick. You take up on that quite quickly. But how fast is the Flash? You don't know. It is never shown how fast he can be. It is kind of shown, but there is a bit of a peeve pets in there, but I don't know if I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna leave it there. And then there's Cyborg, and Cyborg is kind of well established of what he can do. He can interact with everything technology, but he can also manipulate his own body. I don't know, he makes a sonic cannon out of his hand. And don't get me wrong. I know that in the comic books it is well described how each of these heroes' powers work. However, you need to understand this. We need to know it in this universe, DCEU. They need to show us and tell us in this outing. And if they don't do it and just expect that, well, you have read the comics, haven't you? Well, yes, I have, but some people haven't. You need to make a great movie that establishes and tells you the rules of each of your special quirks. You can't just expect people to know it, no matter how famous your heroes are. And this movie does none of it. And actually, one of my biggest gripes with this movie is that it is too short. It is, I believe, 2 hours long, and that is with credits. And I have heard that the studio Warner Brothers pushed DC to make sure that the movie was no more than 2 hours long. And if you're gonna make a 2 hour long movie with a big collection of heroes, then you need to adjust your script to make sure that everything works within that time limit. But here, no. This movie doesn't know what to focus on. And I have heard rumors that there is about half an hour, 45 minutes cut out of this movie. And it pisses me off because they have done this with Batman v Superman. They did it with Suicide Squad. Well, we don't talk about Suicide Squad, so he gives it a fuck. But they did it with Batman v Superman and said, well, this is the complete edition. Why don't you show the complete edition in the cinemas? Here's the thing. If you want an extended cut of your movie, fine, I don't mind that. Actually, I actually prefer that with Lord of the Rings. They have the extended cut. But if you ask Peter Jackson what is his cut, it's not the extended cut. That's just additional scenes added to the movie. No, it's the theatrical cut. You know, the one that put out in theaters. You need to make sure that that movie is complete and nothing more. You don't need these scenes to explain this plot. You shouldn't have to. Only thing these scenes is gonna do is to elaborate on something. Give you more details. But without these scenes, this movie should still work. And here it kinda doesn't. It moves way too fast over the plots. It gives no time for character development. You have no fucking clue who Cyborg is, what happened to him, only vaguely explained. What is his powers? What is his play in this? You don't know. How about Flash? How did he get his powers? What is his powers? What is his deal in this? Well, you don't know. His introduction is the scene you saw in the first trailer, and that's it. There's a Flash. Okay. What about Aquaman? Well, you're told that Aquaman, he comes to Iceland and saves fishermen and then sometimes drinks booze. That's it. Apparently there's an interesting story with him and Atlantis, but you're not told, shown anything. Atlantis is present in this movie, but besides the fact that it holds a MacGuffin, it serves no purpose. You don't give a fuck. So you don't know either of these three heroes. That's a bummer. That should have been the movie's main focus. You're introducing 3 new main characters. Instead of focusing on Diana and Batman, focus on these 3. And then have Diana and Batman be the side characters in the first act. But no. And by the way, the first act is clunky as shit. It just goes from one place to the other with no transitions between them. And again, I think that is because this movie needed to be cut down to 2 hours. That is a bummer, but still, you need to make it work. And it didn't, sadly. Then there's the fact that Steppenwolf want to destroy the Earth. Okay, so we have a doomsday plot here, then it makes sense we need the Justice League to take on this guy because he has shown to be pretty powerful. So in the third act, when he actually tries to destroy the world, do you feel dire? Do you feel that the Earth is gonna be destroyed in some way? That is dangerous? No. Steppenwolf is a bad character. He is not used well, he is pushed to the side. And I know we have seen this before, especially in the Marvel's movies, and that is a shortcoming of theirs. But you have a character that needs to take on the Justice League. Make that character interesting. The only thing that Steppenwolf does is move the plot forward and then be a opposing threat at the end for the Justice League to overcome. That's it. I will give the movie this. It didn't make this into a big giant CGI slugfest where everything gets annihilated. That's a good thing. However, it is never established how powerful is he, how hard is it for them to defeat this man. We don't know. He's just there, they fight a bit, something happens, he kinda dies. That's it. And then the last thing there is, I'm gonna put a spoiler on here. Go to this timestamp if you don't want to hear this spoiler. It's not a biggie if you have read anything about the movie, but if you don't want anything spoiled, jump to this timestamp or click on the timestamp in the description down below. It will take you past this and you won't get spoiled. Okay, so here he is. Superman gets revived, I think, halfway through this movie. I don't mind that, except that I think that they revived him too soon. I would have wanted them to make this movie about the Justice League without Superman and then maybe revive him at the end of it. That's my take of it. That's not my problem. My problem, however, is Flash's only thing is that he is fast, and not just fast, he is fucking quick. However, for some reason, Superman is as fast, maybe even faster, than Flash in this movie. If Superman is that fast, why do we need Flash? You don't. I know this has been debated time and time again in the cartoons that who is faster, Superman or Flash. But in the new comics, when Superman and Flash has a race, Superman says to Flash, I have beaten you on multiple times. Where Flash states to him, that was for charities, Clark. And then he goes beyond light speeds and just floors Superman. I wanted Flash to be that guy. I wanted him to floor Superman when he got serious. And I know that Flash may be just adjusting to his powers, but still, it took me out of the movie. It is not the greatest gripe about the movie, but it just rubbed me the wrong way. Okay, back to the review. However, another good thing about this movie, I gotta get credit where credit's due. You have this group of heroes where some of them are seasoned heroes and some of them are new heroes. And I like the interaction between these two parts. You could see that the new heroes didn't know what to do. They were actually kind of scared. And it was up to the seasoned heroes to tell them what to do and do it one step at a time to get adjusted to these things. Even though that they are powerful enough to survive a fight, it is pretty scary if it's your first outing. Okay, so what you end up with is you end up with a movie that is a bit clunky and all over the place. You have some new characters you don't really know that much about. I mean, what is the deal with Aquaman's trident? You don't know. What does it do? Can it do anything? Can it talk to fish? It is hinted at. You don't know. It doesn't matter. But the trident does really irritate me. There are a lot of people who turn on a dime in some scenes and you don't know why. So in the one scene they will have this point of view, and then in the next they will either go against their own point of view or agree with someone they don't agree with before. The action sequences is kind of there are two funny action sequences in this, and then one that is okay. But the third act is kind of funny, but it does nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. It is just bland action, and it's not even over the top. It's just not inventive at all, given the fact that you have these heroes with different quirks working together, and it just doesn't seem like they found a way to make them work together for their own strengths. You also don't have an interesting bad guy. You don't have an interesting plot, except that he needs to get these MacGuffins, make a device, destroy the Earth, and the Justice League needs to fight him off. Also, a lot of the CGI effects was not good. I mean, they weren't terrible, but it was just so obvious that it was CGI. And it seems like the most of the CGI sequences was rushed. I mean, a lot of the flight scenes where people were flying around was done better in 2013's Man of Steel than in this movie, which is kind of bad, especially when you think about this is supposed to be DCEU's big movie is the Justice League, and the budget is not on par. So this movie is kind of one step forward for DCEU and then two steps back, especially when you compare it to Wonder Woman. So I will say that Justice League, you should watch it on Netflix. Meh experience. Maybe I should just watch the animated Justice League series. Now that's a good Justice League. So Justice League, have you seen it, or what is your favorite DCEU movie to date? Whatever you think, comment below and read your thoughts. And as always, until I see you in the next video, remember to stay awesome. Bye! Yeah, mommy.